episode 7 of the Vera Shafiq podcast, real and relevant discussions on business, marketing, technology, and digital. I'm your host, Vera Shafiq, and I talk to people in business and marketing who care about doing marketing the right way. It's Tuesday, February the 26th, 2019. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy the show. In this episode, I talk with Patty Soltis, who's an image consultant and knows everything there is to know about dressing the part and making a fantastic first impression. You'll want to listen to this one if you're looking to take your personal branding up a notch. Patty Soltis is co-founder and CEO of StylEdge, a Tampa-based image consulting company that specializes in working with alpha business leaders to match their brand with a credible and professional image. She's a noted leader in the Tampa Bay community and is president of the board of directors at Dress for Success and a board member at the Center for Women, the Miss Tampa Scholarship Foundation, and the University of Tampa Psych School of Business. She's also an active member and mentor at University of South Florida Women in Leadership and Philanthropy. Welcome to the podcast, Patty.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm just so thrilled to be doing this with you.
Pleasure to have you. Can you tell us a little bit about your backstory and how you got to where you are and what you're currently doing?
Yeah, I spent 27 years working in the retail and fashion industry, and I ran stores for companies like Lord & Taylor, Marshall Fields, and mostly Neiman Marcus. And what I learned during that time is I learned a tremendous amount about how to match product to people. And, excuse me. And so during the course of that time when I was matching the people and the product and everything like that, it was a great learning experience and just phenomenal training on garments and clothing and attire and how to care for it and what's the right pieces to have in your wardrobe and what things should you spend money on and where can you save. And so you learn and gain this just tremendous amount of knowledge. And when the time came for me to roll out of retail, I thought about going into consulting work, and I thought about a lot of different kinds of consulting that were out there. But I took a look around and I realized that the way in which we dress to go to work has changed so dramatically. And a lot of people are kind of confused about that part, and they're not quite sure what they should wear with what and when and what are the right pieces to have in their wardrobe. And so that's how I found my way into image consulting. So it's pulling everything out of my background, and it especially relies pretty heavily on my coaching abilities that I used during the time that I was leading teams in retail, as well as just that base of knowledge and experience that I have with product and understanding what's right for various types of people.
Got it. So what you're doing now at StylEdge is really to help people, as you mentioned, help people to understand how to project a better professional image and, just not necessarily in the way they look, but also the way they conduct themselves, I understand. So what would you say the mission of StylEdge is in a nutshell?
It's pretty clear and pretty simple. Our mission at StylEdge is to work with professionals and match their image with a brand of power, success, and results to help them improve their productivity, their performance, their profitability, and their paycheck.
Okay. Wow, that's great.
And that's what we do.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's very powerful. And your typical clients, I understand, is it just women or do you help men and women?
That's such a great question. I get asked that all the time. But my client base is actually about 50-50 between men and women. I do a lot of training engagements and speaking engagements and things like that. I've been a keynote speaker several times at various events and so on and so forth. But it really is a solid mix of male and females.
Okay.
And it's always interesting to me because they're a little different when you work with them, but it's a really fun combination to have.
Yeah, it sounds like a really fun job. So describe a typical day in your life in terms of a work day.
A typical day, let's see. That's, gosh. I've always struggled with describing what a typical day is, but, like everybody else that's out there that is an entrepreneur and building their business, I spend a lot of time on that aspect of it, on building the business, whether it's building my own credibility, working relationships that I have with different people. I'm not really all that fond of networking because I find that to be a little too superficial. And I like to build rapport with people versus just, God, that networking thing just gets under my skin.
Surface chat,
yeah. So I spent a fair amount of time doing that and really working on those relationships that I've built with people. Then the other parts of my day are spent creating new product. I'm getting ready to launch several different products in the next couple of months. So I work on those and getting those out. And then, of course, the time I spend with clients.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's a lot of time in the car.
Yeah.
Going from here and there and everywhere.
Yeah.
But my car's comfortable, so that's okay.
And I completely resonate with that because, I've been an entrepreneur before, and it is really juggling so many things around when you run a business. It's not just being in the business, but it's working on the business. So, yeah, awesome. So let's talk a little bit more about what you do and, what your goals are as a company. I was on your website, and I know you talk about the 5 dress functions on your website. Can you talk a little bit more to that?
Yeah, so what I did is it just makes it easier for people to understand what it is they need to do when you put things in, you either give people steps or you count things out for them or something like that. So what I did is I created 5 modes of attire for professionals, and they're going to vary based on your profession, your geography, your what status you are at work, and things like that. But this makes it really, really simple, and they're very self-descriptive because I like making things, as I said, simple. So the first mode is everyday professional. Then there's high impact meeting, day to dinner, business casual, and weekend wear. And those are the 5 modes of attire. And so I teach people about these 5 modes of attire in my training sessions, in my coaching sessions, and things like that, and really help them understand them. And it always seems to shed a light for them on, okay, so this is what I need to do. And it helps them when they're figuring out what they need to wear, what they need to shop for, how to organize their closets, and it helps them in all those aspects.
Right. So you mentioned about the organization of the closet. Are there any tips you can give people out there in terms of, should they organize by color? Should they put casual wear in one section of the closet, business in another? What's the best way to organize a closet?
That's a really great question. The best way to organize your closet is to organize it into categories. So for men, for example, a man's going to have a section where all his polos are. He's going to have a section where his dress shirts are, where his casual shirts are, where his sport coats are, where his suits are going to hang, and where his trousers are going to hang, basically. So you want to organize it in that fashion and then colorize it. The most important thing that you're doing when you're doing this process is you're then able to see everything that you do have in your closet. You can see what's there, and you can see where you have gaps. I was working with a woman yesterday in her closet, and it was a little disorganized when I came in because that's how she's always functioned. And it worked for her from the aspect of she knew what was where, but she had to think about it. And so, after asking her a couple questions and, working through that whole process, I asked her if I could reorganize it for her. And after it was reorganized, she walked back in and she was like, oh my God, I can see everything that's in my closet now. Now I don't have to think about it.
Right.
And that's what it is. Because I understand different people have different modes of organization. And I'm personally a little OCD, but that's my own little personal thing. And not everybody is that way. But if there's a way to make it so that somebody doesn't have to think about these things, let's make that easier. Yeah. So it really helped her. And then we were able to go through the closet and figure out what she needed to keep, what she needed to alter, what she needed to donate, and what she needed to discard.
Right. So I understand what you do is also, as part of your service, you go to people's homes and help them sort through their wardrobes. And then do they come to your office for a further consultation, or do you provide them shopping advice? How does it work?
When I take somebody through an individual coaching process, there's typically 3 steps that are involved with it. And the first step is to do the closet and to go in there and just let's see what's there. And it's so funny, Vera, because it's a very personal thing for people.
Yeah.
And all the time I hear from people, oh, but it's a mess, or oh, it's this, oh, it's that, or oh, I don't want you to see that. And I'm like, first of all, it's okay.
Yeah.
I've seen a million of these things over the years because I've been doing this for a really long time now. And so that's okay. And the next thing is there's no judgment here. If you have something, then we're not going to, like, there's no judging. It's just, how do we make it better for you? So that's always kind of a little bit of an entertaining and fun thing, is the apprehension that everybody has when I walk, as I'm walking into their closet. So then the next step is that we make a focused shopping list. And as we're going through and we're figuring out what to keep, alter, donate, and discard, we make a very focused shopping list, and then I will go shopping with them. Now, I go shopping a couple of hours before I meet with them, so I've kind of scouted it all out. And then we work on the items that are on their focus shopping list, and I actually teach them, this is how you're going to shop from now on.
Got it.
And then the third step then is for me to come back and we mix and match everything that's in the closet, and I create an online photo album for them. So as somebody's sitting down at the end of the day, maybe with a glass of wine or just, like a nice cup of hot tea or something like that, they can flip through and look at their photo album and figure out what they're going to wear the next day. And do you want to know what my favorite thing is that people say to me? I love when I hear this, because it means that I'm doing my job. When they say to me, I would have never thought of that.
Yeah.
I'm always like, oh, like, it's so awesome when you hear that.
Right. Oh, that's fantastic. That process sounds so good. I think I might have to just sign up for that myself. But yeah, it sounds like it really just streamlines everything and makes it a kind of a no-brainer, because that's the worst thing when you wake up in the morning and you're like, okay, what do I wear today? And
right.
Yeah. So and
it sets the tone for the entire day.
Right.
And that's like, we all get up in the morning, we all shower, we all get ready to go to work or to go do the things that we have to do that day. And as soon as you walk into your closet, or you're, start getting in your drawers or whatever it is where your attire is, and you're pulling something out, you pull out something that you love and that makes you feel good, and that just radiates through the day.
Right.
Whereas if you go in and you pull something out that you feel like you just wore, or it's a little snug, or it pulls, or it twists, or it's just not the right color, or you wonder, why did I even buy this? It kind of sets the tone in the wrong direction.
Yeah. So
I say, let's start the day off and feel great about what we're doing and what we're wearing. And it's an instant confidence boost.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people react to that instant confidence.
Right. Absolutely. That's great. So, let's, so when I was, I think this was on your website, I was reading some of the little factoids that you had on there, and it said that 7% of first impressions are made on the words one uses, and the rest is all on appearance.
Yes.
Can you talk to that?
I love to talk about a first impression. Right. This is like one of my favorite subjects. And I'm going to tell you first why this is one of my favorite subjects. Because companies spend a lot of time, energy, and money on marketing. You're in the marketing business. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. A lot. And the reason that we do business with people is because we connect with them. And so that connection is made in that first impression. And another little fact that's on there about this first impression is that it's been studied at Princeton and it's been studied at Harvard. The team at Princeton found that a first impression is made in a whopping 7 seconds.
Wow.
That's really fast, right? Mm-hmm. Well, then our team from Princeton comes along, and they discover that it's made in 1/10 of a second. That's like a literal blink of an eye.
Right.
Like, I don't even know if I can blink my eyes that fast. Mm-hmm. And further, as they studied it, is with their subjects, is they studied it and looked at it and said, okay, if this person gets to look at it longer, does it change that first impression? And it doesn't. So you have anywhere from a whole entire 7 seconds to a whopping 1/10 of a second to make a great first impression. Now, what both of these studies found, and this is the really interesting part, is that in that blink of an eye, a judgment has been made about your level of trust, your competence, and your dominance. So why would you leave that to chance?
Right.
And that's one of my favorite things that I love to talk about, because it's a game changer to really make just an outstanding first impression versus having to struggle with it and overcome it later down the road.
Right. Yeah, that makes total sense. And so when you're helping people, are you seeing everyday professional, the everyday professional look disappearing and kind of blending more into a business casual, or is there still a demand and a need for the very sharp kind of professional smart look?
I find that there still is a need for the sharp professional look, because I got another fun little fact for you. I love fun facts.
Yeah.
So here's another little fun fact for you. There have been more studies done, and what these other studies found is that when people dress to go to work, they are in fact more productive at work. They accomplish more. People who dress to go to work every day are better abstract thinkers, and they think bigger picture, and they become stronger leaders and better communicators. So yeah, it really does make a difference. And I work with a lot of people in the financial world, banks, financial institutions, investment companies, that whole big umbrella, where appearance really does matter. I mean, you're dealing with people's money. And it makes such a difference when you come in and you're dressed for the part.
Sure.
And not only that, but if you're going to make that first impression that I just talked about in that either 1/10 of a second or 7 seconds, let's make a really strong one, because people do react to success levels and people react to appearance.
Sure. Yeah. So talking of people reacting and, what you're looking like in business professional and all of that, what's in right now in terms of fashion? Are there any specific looks that are really kind of hot right now? Are you seeing anything or recommending anything that's specifically fashionable?
There's a lot of different things that, the fashion world is ever evolving, and with social media, it's become so much faster. Mm-hmm. And, we've heard the terminology fast fashion and all of that kind of thing. The biggest thing that I tell people and that I teach them is to define and find your own style. Just because, this season, yellow is the fashion color of the season, doesn't mean everybody's going to go on out and wear the same shade of yellow. But it wouldn't hurt to put a little bit in to feel a little updated. But, you've got to find what your style is and what you're comfortable in. And beyond that, you have to figure out, and you have to really learn your proportions, because proportions make all the difference in what you're wearing. It's not about size. That's the thing that most people think. Most people think it's about, am I a size 2, am I a size 12? It's really about what are your proportions. Are you long-waisted? Are you short-waisted? Are you hippie? Are you curvy? Men have proportions too, not as strong as women do, but it's all about finding those right things that are proportionate for you. We've seen a bold shoulder coming out in the last couple of seasons. It's not right for everybody. I'm looking at you. You could probably wear a little bit of a bold shoulder, but not something that's like too big, because you've got a nice set of shoulders right there. I'm personally very broad in my shoulders, so I want to rip shoulder pads out of everything. Mm-hmm. So it's really about understanding proportion more so than it is about understanding fashion. And if you find and understand your proportions, it makes it so much easier. There's that right spot in every woman's leg where her skirts and dresses should be hemmed.
Right.
But you have to find that right spot on your leg, once again, depending on the shape of your legs.
Sure. And I think it's also a matter of keeping it timeless as well. I guess if you flow in and out with the fashion, you're going to be like throwing a lot of stuff away, because fashion comes and goes. So is it really about being timeless?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, there's a whole sustainability piece that's out there in terms of, what this does for our environment and so on and so forth. But it's really the best thing to do is to know what pieces you're going to invest in, and those are your timeless classic pieces. Every woman should have a great black blazer in her wardrobe. Every man should have a great navy blue suit in his wardrobe. And it's not that you're going to wear these pieces every day, but they're pieces that you're going to literally have forever. Mm-hmm. And there's little tricks that you can do with them. So, for example, I was working with a young man who was working for a financial firm, and he needed his bosses had brought me in to help him look a little more mature, because he was young, and he's talking to people that are twice his age, and he was kind of struggling because he just didn't look the part. So when we went suit shopping with him, and the tailors came around to do the alterations on the suits, they wanted to really bring it in and make it really fit him. And this was a really nice Hugo Boss suit, and I stopped the tailor and I said, no, we're going to leave some extra fabric on this, because he's going to wear this suit for 15 years. He's 24 now. By the time he's 39 or 40, his body's going to have changed. He may still be slender, but everybody's body changes.
Sure.
So we want some extra fabric left in the jacket and in the pants, so that as his body does change, that suit will change with him. And that's how you can take a piece and make it into like a timeless classic piece. A watch is another great investment. And it's not that people so much are looking at their watches anymore. We've got the iPhone watches that are out there and, everything like that. But it's a status symbol to have a great watch. Mm-hmm. And once again, it's something that you're going to have and you're going to wear forever. So making that investment in a watch that you really love and that you're going to wear for 20 and 30 years, it's an investment piece. Sure. So I teach people about investment pieces. And I don't mean to go on too long on this subject, but I have one more really important thing to add. And that is that I talk to people about cost per wear. Because when you buy these timeless classic pieces, you have a cost per wear. So you look at, for example, a pair of eyeglasses, because I wear eyeglasses because I can't see to read anymore. Right. So my eyeglasses are something I use every single day. My cost per wear on my glasses is very low because I wear them literally every day. I have a beautiful Cartier watch that I bought about 10 years ago. And aside from the fact that I can't wear a watch right now because of physical reasons, but I wear that watch constantly. My cost per wear on that watch is pennies, literally pennies. So the investment that I made in it when I bought it, and it was a substantial investment and made me a little nervous at the time, but it's something that I use constantly. So my cost per wear on it, once again, very low. A great tote bag that a woman uses. Great investment, your cost per wear on it is going to stay low. So there's just these pieces out there to invest in that it makes a lot of sense because your cost per wear drops off so significantly.
So what I'm hearing is, invest in those pieces that you're going to be wearing a lot that are going to make a high impact impression on people. And then what about in terms of the other pieces? Is there a way to be budget conscious in terms of not spending too much on everything, especially for people that are just, starting their careers? Maybe they don't have that much money to spend.
This is such a valuable topic, Vera, and I'm so thankful you brought this up because this is like everything. Because especially, I remember when I first came out of college, I didn't have, I was making $6.50 an hour. Now, this was in 1987, so it was a long time ago, but I didn't have a lot of money to spend at that point in time. And, over time, as I worked my way up and became more successful, my budget for shopping obviously increased substantially. I was spending more money on clothes, but, by the time I was in my last years at Neiman's, I was spending more money on clothes than I made in my first year working. It was ridiculous. But aside from that, there are some really key things. It's a great idea. Once again, you're going to invest for a woman. You're going to invest in a great pair of black trousers, because those are going to be with you for a long, long time. And it can actually cost you more money to have to replace these things over time. So you just have to know and understand your budget to know how you're going to do that. I can walk into discount stores, and my friends all joke when I go shopping with them. They're like, you walk in and you just sniff these things out. Because I'll walk in and I'll, to a Marshall's or something like that, a Burlington or something, and I'm like, oh, that's the great buy right over there. But you learn over time what are the good brands and what's going to last. And most importantly, you learn what fits your body. Right. And for a young professional that's just starting out, that is probably the biggest thing I would tell them is understand what fits you. And really going back to what I was talking about earlier when we were talking a little bit about trends and understanding your style, understand that component as well, because it really makes such a difference. And, it's funny because I speak to groups of students from time to time at University of Tampa and at University of South Florida and other schools around the country. And they always ask me that question, how am I going to do this? And then the other question that they always inevitably ask me as well is that, when I was interviewing for my internship or, when I start looking for a job, the boss is really casual. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you know what? They earned the right to be that casual. You haven't done that yet. You're still proving yourself. Right. So until you have that fancy title after your name, dress to get to that fancy title.
Right. That makes so much sense.
It's really important.
Yeah. That's good. That's a great insight. So thanks for sharing that. So let's move a little bit away from the attire and clothing topic, and let's talk a little bit about just general kind of first impressions, etc. Because I know that part of your mantra is that it's not all about the look. You also talk about having an elevator pitch. So Does your company help people with that?
I help people with it. It's not the main thing I do. One thing I will tell you that's kind of like a side effect of what we do is that when I do work with my clients, I talk to them about all aspects of business. Because with my background from running stores and, running multi-million-dollar stores over the years, I understand how businesses work. I understand how a P&L statement works. I understand what turn is. I understand what margin is. I know what and I understand all of that. And I did a tremendous amount of work in marketing during all the time that I was in retail. So it's just kind of like a little side effect that people get when I work with them is we kind of dig into those things just a little bit with it. But the biggest side effect that happens when I work with my clients, I do a training or something like that, is the confidence boost that people feel. And it's astounding how much people react to confidence. And I'm not saying be overconfident and, all that kind of thing, but my mantra is this: command the room. And I ask people, do you want to earn the right to command the room, or do you want to walk in and command the room? So that's a really big side effect that happens, because we've all been in those situations where somebody walks in the room and you're like, who is that? Mm-hmm. They haven't said anything to you or done anything, or you've had no interaction with them, but there's something about that person.
Right. Right. I'm sure
that is definitely a side effect that comes from this.
Yeah. So body language and just, owning it, owning the look, owning the presence. Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Very much so. And it's all about branding. That's 100% of what I do is about branding. So the components that come with it, talking to somebody about what their elevator pitch, that comes with it, because we're talking about the branding component. So when I work with companies and organizations, I want to know, how are they branding themselves? Who is their target market? What are they going after? Because I blend all of that in to talking about branding.
Right. Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about LinkedIn. I know that's where all the professionals go. It's, the de facto platform for professional networking. Do you provide any tips on, or can you give us any tips on how to get personal branding right on LinkedIn?
Have a great headshot, number one. Mm-hmm. And it has to be a great headshot. And I have gotten a tremendous amount of pushback on this. When I post an article about a great headshot, or I post something about how important it is or something like that, there's always little naysayers out there. And I'm here to tell you they are wrong, and I'm right. And the reason I say that is because it's the first impression that you make. People look at you and they're making that snap judgment. So if you're a banker and you have a picture up of you playing with your dog, people think, oh, he looks like a friendly, fun guy. He's playing with his dog, but they're not looking at you and thinking banker. And that's the whole point of LinkedIn. As you said, it's a professional network. Take that great picture with you and your dog and put it on another form of social media, but not LinkedIn. So that is the number one first place to start, is with that.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And you're right. I do see, sometimes I'll come across a LinkedIn profile image that is completely inappropriate, I would say, for the platform. Mm-hmm. And it makes me wonder, because, they're saying that they're like a guru or a business consultant or something. And the picture is it just doesn't reflect that. So I completely agree with you. Right. And I don't think you necessarily need to be like in a suit and tie. I think it can be a little bit more casual, but still looking professional, clean, and presentable. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I've talked with a lot of LinkedIn experts over the years, because I'm very active on LinkedIn. And it's so important to get it really tight in on your face, because you have this little teeny tiny bubble that's your head that shows up on LinkedIn, and we're doing more and more things on our phones, which are smaller screens anyways. So it's really important to get a very tight, literal headshot here. Most of the time they do a headshot and they cut it somewhere in the shoulder area or something like that, or the clavicle, something like in this area. Yeah. But just get it right in there on your head. Right. And it's so important.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit now about, I know you have written a book. And it's called First Impressions Last. So what can one expect to learn from reading your book?
Well, this book is the essential guide for professional women. And one of my favorite things about the book is the dedication. And the dedication is for professional women let me start that over. The dedication is for professional women who love their perfect imperfections and are succeeding in the business world. And that's who the book is written for. Because as women, we are very judgmental about ourselves and our bodies. And I see this all the time, where when I'm speaking to a group of women or I'm working with a female client or something like that, and I say to them, tell me 3 things that you like about your body. And their face just kind of clouds, and I say to them, are you thinking about things you don't like? And they're like, yup. I'm like, okay, that's not the point of this exercise. The point of this exercise is tell me 3 things you like about your body. And we work through it, and they come up with some things. The woman I was with yesterday, we did the same exercise. And it really helps to define, go back and define that style mode. So the book talks about how to define your style. It talks about those 5 modes of attire. There's a chapter on each of the 5 modes. It talks about seasonality. It talks about traveling. It talks about how to go through your closet and set your closet up, how to do the keep, alter, donate, and discard pieces with it. So it covers all of that. And it's, I will tell you, I am not a writer by training. Like, I did not go to take a writing class or anything like that. And the book is written exactly like I talk, so it's like almost conversational. But the smartest thing I did when I wrote the book was this. I wrote the book so you can pick up and read a section of it and put it down. Because as working women, we don't have a lot of times an hour to sit down and read. And we would all love to have that time and to be able to do it, but it's hard. So the book is written so that you can read a chapter in like 5 to 7 minutes, set it down, walk away from it, come back to it a week later, 2 weeks later, whatever, and be like, you know what, I think I want to read the section on trends now, so I'm going to read that section. And it's written so that you can do that. You don't have to read it front to back. There's no cliffhangers in it or anything like that. There's no drama. We don't have any of that going on, but it's just written in very simplistic terms so that women can read it, digest it, and understand it, and be more successful.
Nice. Very nice. Talk a little bit more about your role in the community, because I know that you're very heavily immersed in the Tampa Bay community and in various capacities, including philanthropy. So can you talk to some of your involvements doing that and how they're important to you?
Everything that I do philanthropically and everything my company associates itself with philanthropically has to do with female empowerment. And the reason for that is because more women run more households than men do. They make more financial decisions than men do. There are more single mothers out there now at this point in time. And as we empower these women to be stronger, then it helps everybody. I look at it, and it's an indirect ripple effect, but nonetheless, there is a ripple effect. So take Dress for Success, for example. I joined the board there about a year ago. I've been active with the organization for a couple of years now, and they have been in the Tampa Bay community now for 20 years and have helped 25,000 women. One of the things that Dress for Success, as an affiliate of the International Dress for Success, that we are accountable for, is making sure that these women not only find jobs, but they keep their jobs for 2 years. So think about the economic impact of that. 25,000 women over 20 years who have our statistics run pretty high in the 90th percentile, keep a job for more than 2 years. So what happens is these women then, instead of becoming part of the system, they become productive members of society. And think about that ripple effect with that, because their children become more productive. They themselves are contributing more back, leading better lives. Like, there's just a whole big, powerful impact that this all makes. So that's why it's so important to me is to really just that long-term effect that happens as a result of that. The Center for Women, where I sit on the board as well, they have a program where they're teaching women how to work in construction jobs. How awesome is that?
Yeah, that's great.
It's amazing. They have a women's business center, and they help thousands of women through the Women's Business Center every year. They help them learn how to write a business plan. They help them learn how to get funding and investment monies. And they help them as their businesses are struggling. I took a few of their classes a couple years ago just out of curiosity, and they were really good. Because sometimes some of these other courses that are out there, especially the complimentary ones, can be very basic. And when you're starting your own business, you need a little bit more information. And that's what these classes do at the Center for Women. They're just incredible. So it really just adds a lot to it. The Miss Tampa Scholarship Foundation, the reason that I'm active with that is because I look at these young ladies, and the Miss Tampa is an affiliate of the Miss America program. And they are the #1 scholarship provider in the world for women.
Wow.
And that's just insane to me, that all these young women have an opportunity to earn this scholarship money. So we have our Miss Tampa Scholarship competition coming up on March 2nd, and there will be 5 young women who will win part of the $12,000 that's being given away just here locally.
Wow.
And that's crazy to think that, these young women, some of them put themselves through college, and our past Miss Tampas are PR people, they're nurses, they're doctors, they're entrepreneurs. I mean, these young women really go out there and get their education, and once again, they've become more productive now in our community. So it's a really big thing and a really important thing.
Sure, that's so wonderful. And I think, female empowerment is such a great mission. So, thank you for doing that.
Yeah. And the young woman that I mentor at USF, she is a computer engineering major. And when they first matched me with her, I was like, oh my God, I don't know anything about computer engineering. Like, this is totally out of my toolbox. Like, I don't have any idea what I'm going to do and how I'm going to help this young woman. But in our first meeting, she sat down and she said to me, I need help with 3 things. I am too stressed out all the time. I don't take risks, which is a really big thing. And her confidence level was suffering. And I'm like, oh, now I know why we're matched.
Right.
Because I can help you with those 3 things.
That's perfect.
Like, then it made sense to me. But at first I was like, computer engineering, huh? No, I can't help her with that. And we talk, we've had this relationship and rapport now for quite some time. And we talk all the time. And she talks to me about her internship and what's happening at that. And, where she's having problems with other people on projects in her classroom. And, how does she approach a professor about something? And it's just amazing. And one of the last times I talked to her, she was telling me how she signed up to take this trip to go to Asia. She's always wanted to go, and she never had the confidence to go. She felt as though it was too much of a risk to go, and the stress of the money.
Mm-hmm.
So, but she's feeling so much better now that she's taking this trip, and I'm so excited for her.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's great. And it's so fulfilling, I'm sure, for you to be able to help people like that. So,
it's awesome. Just wonderful.
Great. Well, we are running out of time. I could talk to you all day, but we will have...
Same way about you. You're so interesting. Yes, such great questions.
Thank you. So just to wind down, what I usually like to do is just ask a couple of 3 fun questions. So if you're up for it, would you be able to?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, yeah. So tell me about a guilty pleasure that you indulge in.
Oh, wow. I have a lot. One of my very, very favorite things to do, though, is my alone time. I just love my alone time. It's very precious to me, and it's my recentering time. And a little fun fact is that I'm a huge introvert, like huge introvert. You know the Myers-Briggs test? They test you on that stuff?
Yeah.
I test all the way over on that I end. Like
really?
everything. I mean, I've taken it so many times over the years and always in the I bracket. And I've learned how to extrovert myself. But that quiet time that I get when I'm alone is just amazing. And sometimes it's just quiet time, just drifting off into my own little thoughts. Sometimes it's watching a good movie, reading a book, anything like that. Because, we have so much noise now that just to have like a little peace and serenity is wonderful. And I don't meditate because I can't seem to wrap my head around that one. Mm-hmm. But just to sit in quiet for, whether it's 15 minutes or 2 hours, doesn't matter. It's a great pleasure for me.
Yeah, me too, actually. I cherish my alone time, and I get to do a lot of it now because my husband's away on business. My kids are all grown up and in college, so I get to spend a lot of time, but I love it too. So that's
good
awesome.
For you.
So question number 2, and you may have answered this already, something about you that not many people know.
Okay, something about me not many people know. Well, let's see. We've got the introvert extrovert thing. Not a lot of people do realize that little fun fact. Let's see. I could tell you something funny, but I think I'll keep that to myself.
Maybe we'll do that offline.
I will tell you this. I have a great fear of heights. Like paralyzing fear of heights. But I've been skydiving.
Oh, wow.
I've been up in a hot air balloon. I've been zip lining. I really want to go hang gliding.
Wow.
So there's something that happens when you face these fears. And I don't have a good reason to have a fear of heights. I've never fallen. I'm kind of tall, but that doesn't really count. But like, I don't have a good reason. I just do, but I still go do all these other things.
That's great.
And I love them.
Yeah, I think it's so important to get out of your comfort zone. So that's awesome that you do all of that. Yeah, I have yet to do skydiving, so that's something that I'm a little nervous about, but I'm sure I will do it at some point. It's something that I've wanted to do.
Oh, you have to. It is the most incredible experience. And I did it years ago when you could go by yourself. And now I think they do everything tandem. Yeah. But it's you would love it. Go do it.
Okay. I will do. It's on my bucket list. And then final question, what would you be doing now if you weren't doing image consulting?
If I had enough financial freedom, I would work 100% in philanthropy, like 100%. And it would be a full-time plus job for me. If I had the financial resources to be able to do that, I would totally be doing that. But beyond that, to be honest, Vera, I don't have a plan B. There's never been I've been doing this business now for almost 4 years, I think it is. And I didn't have a plan B then. I don't have a plan B now. There is no plan B. It's figuring out how to make this work and helping people, like I said in the very beginning with my mission statement, helping people be more productive, helping them have better levels of performance, profitability, and a paycheck. Like my heart is so into this and my head is so wrapped around this, and I don't have a plan B.
Perfect.
There just isn't one.
It's a perfect answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well,
maybe not the smartest thing, but that's really where I'm at.
That's fine. That's great. So, just so for the listening audience, if they want to connect with you or perhaps schedule a consultation, let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, my website is a really easy place to go. It's StylEdgeFashion.com. Doesn't really matter how you spell it. You're going to end up there. I own all the domain names, so you'll get there anyway. But as far as like getting like complimentary tips and things like that, like they are on the website. But I would say connect with me on LinkedIn because I am really active on LinkedIn. I post on LinkedIn frequently. I have a group on LinkedIn. It's a great place to go. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I don't post as often on those, but there are typically tips and things like that are there because I just think this is so important, and to start getting engaged in this can go so far. And not only that, but when I do a training somewhere or a speaking engagement or I've worked with a client, I want them to have an ongoing resource. So that's what I've turned my social media into. Okay. Is that resource. Yep. So find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, but most of all, LinkedIn.
Perfect.
And LinkedIn's my own name, Patty with a Y. Why? Because that's the way it's spelled, Soltis.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Patty, for the conversation today. It's been a blast.
Oh my gosh, you're fantastic. Just thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed this.
Well, that's it for today, folks. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did like what you heard, please subscribe to catch more episodes, and I'd really appreciate it if you left me a review and shared with your friends and colleagues. Visit my website at verashafiq.com, connect with me on LinkedIn, or send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time.